His golden age of Hollywood wasn't always so golden. Beneath the sparkle of movie premieres and red carpet galas, dark secrets simmered just out of view. These stories were guarded by powerful studios who tirelessly worked to protect their most lucrative assets, the stars themselves. Yet hidden diaries, confidential memos, and eyewitness accounts have surfaced over the years, peeling back the curtain on a world where image was everything, and scandal could mean the end of a career. Today, we're diving into those hushed-up files to reveal what really went on when the cameras stopped rolling, the ruthless studio system. In the early days of the Golden Age, studios like MGM, Warner Brothers, and Paramount held their stars on tight leashes. Morality clauses were embedded into nearly every contract, regulating what an actor or actress could wear, whom they could date, and even where they could go at night. One studio chief believed that if an actress was caught getting married without the studio's explicit blessing, the audience would lose interest because she was no longer that tantalizing, mysterious figure. Some stories go even further. Actresses who risked becoming pregnant at an inopportune time often faced severe ultimatums. Get rid of the baby or we'll cancel your contract. Whispered accounts tell of fixers, individuals paid generously to handle these so-called inconveniences. If you were a rising star making the studio big money, they wanted you to stay single and seductive in the eyes of the public. Marriage and motherhood, that was for later, if ever, after the studio had squeezed your image dry. To maintain this iron grip, studios also used elaborate publicity stunts. They'd announce fake engagements, stage rescue scenarios, or drum up false rumors to keep their stars in the headlines. More disturbingly, they sometimes coerced actors, especially female ones, into roles or appearances they never wanted in the first place. Signed on the dotted line, you were theirs, body and soul. But the studio system was only one layer of an intricate power structure. Beneath the corporate office politics, personal dramas boiled over with more scandalous twists. The next layer of Hollywood's underbelly reveals just how many cautionary lines the stars themselves were willing to cross in the name of love, or something that merely resembled it. Secret affairs and illicit romances. Even if you were one of the top names in Hollywood, you couldn't escape the prying eyes of gossip columnists. The studios might help keep certain liaisons quiet, but hush-hush flings and torrid affairs were often the worst-kept secrets in town. The tabloids loved implying that leading men, billed as tall, dark, and handsome heartthrobs, were secretly stepping out on their spouses with co-stars or with people outside the industry entirely. Meanwhile, actresses cultivated sugar-coated public personas, even though some carried on scandalous entanglements behind the scenes. Rumors soared about child star sensations having relationships with directors or producers. The age gap didn't always matter to the powerful men in charge. If their starlets were marketable, the machine kept rolling. When pregnancy rumors emerged, the fixers would leap into action, quietly shipping the starlet out of town for a rest cure or a mysterious ailment, only to have her return weeks later looking suspiciously slimmer, with the problem taken care of. When big-name actors like Clark Gable found themselves in a predicament, such as fathering a child with a co-star outside of wedlock, studios saw to it that the scandal was buried. Arranged adoptions happened more often than the public ever realized, with mothers secretly planning to adopt their own babies after a few months. The official story: the star simply felt a surge of maternal love for a child in need. Yet, forbidden romance was just the tip of the iceberg. Greater demons lurked behind glamorous smiles, ones that brought heartbreak and sometimes an untimely end. Untold addictions and tragedies. The demands of stardom were crushing. For a teenage newcomer thrust into the spotlight, it was easy to become dependent on uppers, downers, and extreme diets just to maintain the right look, or the hyper-energy required by never-ending shoots. One actress might start her day with black coffee laced with amphetamines, just as the studio recommended, then wind down at night with a different pill to force sleep. These pills weren't always well understood. The possibility of an accidental OD was hauntingly real. Meanwhile, strict diets like chicken broth, lettuce, and near-endless cigarettes were normal. Hollywood's obsession with weight, particularly for women, led to dangerous cycles of binging and purging. One star famously ended up in the hospital after fainting on set. Later, it emerged she'd been surviving on barely 400 calories a day, courtesy of the studio's orders. Some tried to self-medicate with alcohol. This included beloved icons who arrived at set with shaky hands, slurring lines by mid-afternoon. If an actress or actor spiraled too far, the fixers might orchestrate a cover story about exhaustion or nervous breakdowns. Meanwhile, the real story rotted beneath shiny press releases. In extreme cases, the emotional toll was so severe that the star would become suicidal. Only coded references crept into the press. They were found unconscious in their home, or they took ill suddenly. But behind closed doors, many believed that heartbreak, abusive relationships, or studio pressures had driven them to a point of no return. With so many personal demons at play, the line between private turmoil and public scandal sometimes blurred, even to the point of police involvement, legal woes, and run-ins with the law. Glitz and glamour didn't grant total immunity when crimes were involved, but it certainly helped. Some old Hollywood legends dodged convictions for everything from drunk driving to more serious offenses, with hush money quietly tidying up the details. When an arrest was unavoidable, the culprit often got off with a remarkably light sentence. The public never heard the full story, just an official statement that the incident had been an unfortunate misunderstanding. One star famously found herself in trouble after a lover turned up dead under suspicious circumstances. The studio promptly unleashed an army of lawyers and spin doctors, insisting accusations surfaced with no real evidence. Witnesses recanted. The scandal grew murkier until it faded behind a wave of new publicity stunts for the star's upcoming film. Sometimes the law itself bent under Hollywood's golden weight. Judges or police chiefs might be longtime fans or just eager for a well-placed bribe. Meanwhile, gossip columns thrived on tidbits about secret raids at after-parties, with powerful producers personally calling local precincts to hush things up. The audience at home never realized how close their favorite performers came to wearing a prison uniform instead of a designer gown. But even if you escaped legal trouble, you might not avoid the wrath of your fellow stars. The next wave of secrets involves feuds so intense they shaped entire careers. Unforgettable feuds and on-set warfare. A gentle smile on a movie poster could hide a seething hatred behind the scenes. In fact, some of old Hollywood's most legendary on-screen pairs were rumored to despise each other when the cameras stopped rolling. Resentment festered over stolen roles, overshadowed performances, or romantic competition. One actress might sabotage another's wardrobe, or an actor might spread rumors that his co-star was difficult to work with, effectively blackballing them from future projects. Occasionally, these vendettas spanned decades. A star might publicly congratulate their rival on an award, only to scheme behind closed doors to ensure the rival never got cast again. In one famous scenario, an actress volunteered to be the official award acceptor for several nominees at an Oscar ceremony, hoping her hated rival wouldn't win. When the rival lost, this actress practically waltzed on stage to collect someone else's trophy and used the moment to rub salt in the wound. Then there were stories of small, vindictive acts, turning up late to keep the other person waiting, accidentally delivering real slaps during fight scenes, or leaking humiliating personal details to tabloids. Every feud was a game of chess with reputations, endorsements, and entire careers at stake. But behind these public showdowns lay another layer of subterfuge, double lives that would have exploded the era's social norms if fully exposed. Hidden identities and double lives. In a world that worshiped the heterosexual, wholesome image of a star, many secretly lived in constant fear that their private realities might surface. Several high-profile actors and actresses engaged in same-gender relationships under the radar, terrified that an accidental photograph or a single overheard conversation could end their careers. The studio sometimes arranged lavender marriages, uniting gay or bisexual stars in a seemingly straight union to prevent rumors. One leading man was so concerned that his off-screen preferences would leak that he married a series of women, none of whom could speak publicly about the arrangement. If they attempted a divorce, the star or the studio would bury them under legal threats until they signed binding non-disclosure agreements. Another actress quietly paid off paparazzi who'd snapped her at an exclusive gathering known to be a safe haven for the gay Hollywood community. Occasionally, the truth was hidden in plain sight. Sly references in interviews, "We're just very dear friends," raised eyebrows, but rarely a scandal, as the public didn't want to lose its cinematic heroes. Even so, the emotional burden these stars carried was immense. Many lived with heartbreak, guilt, and isolation, playing happy couples on screen while yearning for a reality they weren't allowed to claim. Of course, double lives extended beyond romance. Some families covered up entire chapters of their own lineage, fueling even darker tales. Family scandals and cover-ups. Family was often used as a publicity tool. The devoted wife, the doting husband, the adorable child or two. But behind those glossy magazine covers, studios and stars kept a tight lid on alarming secrets. Some rumored it was more common than not for a star's adopted child to actually be their biological son or daughter, conceived during an illicit affair or at a time that conflicted with a major film schedule. At times, parents went to extremes to protect future stardom. An aspiring actress's mother might push her child toward an arrangement with a powerful producer, ignoring the ethical horrors. Or a father, threatened by scandal, might disown or hide his children to keep rumors from tainting his personal brand. One star's father was rumored to have impregnated a maid, resulting in a half-sibling the star never met. The father paid hush money, ensuring the child was raised out of state. Even more disturbing were accounts of parents enabling or turning a blind eye to abusive relationships, hoping the alliance with a certain director or mogul would guarantee the child's success. Reputations and paychecks took precedence over well-being. Once the starlet secured that breakout role, they often carried silent resentment and emotional scars. But these tragedies and moral compromises only hint at the gravest endings that befell some of Hollywood's greatest icons, the darkest ends and lasting legacies. For all the heartbreak, betrayals, and illusions, perhaps the most haunting aspect of old Hollywood is how many stars left this world under tragic circumstances. Some reached a point of no return with substances or OD'd after years of self-medication. Others succumbed to mysterious accidents that to this day provoke whispered conspiracy theories. Did they fall victim to foul play? Was it a studio cover-up to protect a high-profile name? And there were those who simply buckled under the relentless weight of public scrutiny and personal upheaval. Fans who believed their idols shined brighter than the sun never imagined the depths of loneliness some of these stars felt. Their obituaries might have read, "Passed away peacefully," but Hollywood insiders murmured about the real story: unresolved pain, a quiet sense of despair, or precarious relationships that led to devastation. Yet these stories, tragic as they are, shaped modern Hollywood. The forced diets and shocking exploitation spurred new regulations, albeit slowly, around health and safety. The hush-hush affairs inspired discussions about personal freedom and morality clauses. The hidden double lives made way for more open conversations on sexuality and identity, though it took decades for genuine acceptance. In a twisted way, each scandal paved a small path toward progress. Current industry standards, while still imperfect, are shaped by the cautionary tales of those who suffered behind the silver screen's gleam. So, the next time you watch a classic film from Hollywood's golden era, consider the sacrifices behind that brilliant smile or glittering gown. Ask yourself, how many scripts were rewritten behind closed doors to keep up a carefully constructed lie? The answer might just change the way you see those timeless movies, and remind you that legends too have dark shadows trailing behind them. Stay curious. There's always more to uncover about that shimmering world, and sometimes it's the stories they tried hardest to bury that say the most about the era. After all, in Hollywood, the greatest performances often happened off the screen.